Perfect. Thank you. All right, welcome everyone to the April 2024 OCA PGB meeting. We did just have a PGB meeting very shortly ago because it got delayed by a couple of weeks due to holidays. So I'm not sure, that might be a contributing factor to why some folks weren't able to make it today. But first thing on the agenda, something we were just discussing before the start of the call, is the upcoming OCA CASP interoperability workshop. Are we calling it a village or a workshop? I get confused.
Cybersecurity Automation Village.
The Cybersecurity Automation Village workshop.
No workshop, just a
No
village.
workshop.
A village is a plug fest plus a workshop plus a hackathon.
Right.
Plus anything else you want it to be. We're copying
So
DEF
there,
CON
so
and
there is a
B-Sides.
workshop. It's in the village. Okay. So that's going to be next week in Reston. So we were just, not to take the wind out of Jane's sails here, but we were just talking about it. It's a completely sold out event physically. We are still recruiting virtually. So Jane is you mentioned, Jane, that you're going to be posting the invite link soon so people can register for the Zoom event. Is that correct? Or should they still go to the Eventbrite?
So Eventbrite, and everyone who's registered in the Eventbrite will receive the link automatically.
Okay, so we still want to be sending people to the Eventbrite.
Correct.
Okay. And we were just, fielding some actions we want to make sure we do. One of them being, we're sending an email to everyone who has registered and make sure that they confirm their in-person attendance because we have a wait list, and B, if they're just double confirm that they're not planning to attend in person if they're virtual, because it sounds like there might be some questions where people registered virtual who are actually going to be there in person. So we want to try to make sure we get the nail down the number of in-person attendees, since there is already a wait list, which is a very good problem to have. Very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing some people face to face who I haven't seen in a very long time. Yeah, it should be a very good event. And Rich, I don't know. So you were asking about the event. There are some folks from IBM, I believe, scheduled to attend the event. I'm not sure. I think at least one person is attending in person. This is from the Kestrel team.
Oh, nice. Good. Perfect.
Yeah, so you might want to double check in on that. I think it's from research.
Nice.
And they're doing a presentation in conjunction with, I believe they're doing it in conjunction with the IOB group, who's going to be there in person as well. So
okay.
Correct, as well as one of the IBM guys is giving one of the giving the actual What is Kestrel talk as well.
Perfect. Good. I will look at that. Super. And so virtual attendees were still open.
Correct.
Yes.
Nice.
The more the merrier.
Yep. Okay, good.
And the companies, it's quite the impressive list of companies that are attending this, both in person and virtual. A lot of high profile attendees. So very impressed with the turnout for this event. People are excited.
Can you share the attendee list? I'd love to see it if we can.
Jane has it. I don't know, Jane, if you have a up-to-date copy of it, because it doesn't have names, just has the companies, right?
Yeah,
It has job titles and companies.
That'd be great.
So yeah, I mean, it's I'll let me post the link, but I have to update it. So give me to the end of today to update it, and then but I'll share it with you, Rich.
Great.
In the chat.
Okay. Yeah. I don't need the latest and greatest. I'm just trying to get a feel for it. So thanks.
Yeah, if you go to the third tab, you'll be able to see. And that's, again, that was 2.5 weeks ago. So there's been quite a bit since then.
Nice. Wow. Great orgs, academia, companies.
And hopefully there'll be even more in the intervening week as we get more virtuals to sign up. One other thing on the village. So as Fractal, I'm contributing a game to the village. It's one that I'd contributed back when RSA had to go virtual, and we made a game for the supply chain village, and we've done it in a bunch of other places since. It does have it's still under development. I'll send a link out to the CASP link before too long, but it does have 2 contests associated with it. Both of which well, Jane, I don't know if you'd had a chance to look at anything or agree yet, but my intent was to start them Monday at noon. And the 2 contests are for the in-person people and for the virtual people. And the reason I made it 2 is to sort of try and encourage people to be in person because the prizes are bigger. But we're already full, so that's, well, whatever. It's achieved its purpose even before it started. But whatever. So I would like, once I send the link out to the cast group, I would like people to play it a little bit and just, tell me where I've screwed up. There are it's a combination Tetris trivia game, and the trivia isn't really trivia. It's really get you to read questions about like OCA and CSAF and OpenC2. You read a paragraph and then you answer a question about it, which hopefully once you've done that, you're actually now know something you didn't know before. So it's sort of a form of edutainment. The prizes are not huge. It's, $50, $25, whatever, of different kinds of gift cards. But it was very successful at RSA, at the supply chain village. And so I'm hoping it will sort of pique people's interest now. And again, the purpose isn't really because we care about people playing games. It's so people actually know something about all these different projects, because if they're interested in winning, they'll actually read all this stuff. So anyway, I'll be putting a link out for that probably over the weekend once I finally get the production copy up. I'm only on a dev copy right now. But Jason, for your benefit, I do use your logo as one of the sponsors, so your logo's on every page, along with Paratons. Jane, the only 2 sponsors are Cyware and Paraton, right? And Oasis.
Yeah, we've been using the OCA logo associated, so
Oh, so I
OCA,
should use OCA. All right.
yeah,
Very
I
good.
would use OCA just to give it to pop. I mean, it still gives Oasis. I mean, you can use both logos if you want. And then, yeah, Cyware and Paraton are the official sponsors of different aspects of the event.
And then one of the categories of questions you answer is about the sponsors, and the sponsors get the best, you get these things called power-ups, which help you win. The best power-ups are under sponsors. So there are a couple Paraton questions, or maybe just one Paraton question and one Cyware question, I don't remember, in there. But once I put the link out, Jason, you might want to look at it and make sure you agree with what I just copied some stuff off your homepage and then asked a question about it. If you want to add more questions and you want it to look different, just let me know.
Okay, yeah, just send me the link and I'll take a look.
Yep.
Duncan, I did just address because you were looking for I think donations for giveaways and stuff.
Right.
Maybe we should open that up to all OCA sponsors. Maybe they have a company giveaway that they can, donate, and they can ship it to me and I can have it there.
Yeah, if you could do that like really quickly, sure.
Yeah,
Because I have to change the software to put it in there. Again, it's not a big deal to do, but I don't like changing it too near to the event. Because
Well, maybe we could do it for
a prize page.
For RSA or something else then.
All right. Well, no, if they want to, good. I'm just saying, don't tell me Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tell me like Monday, like do it the next few days. But again, they gotta do, either, like you said, if they want to give away a free product or a free trial or something like that, sure.
I believe that you're working with Kelly Gordon on our side. Gene?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Kelly is going to be at the event. So she's gonna meet me there early and get
Okay.
everything set up. And I talked to Steve already about the table and where that'll be and all that jazz.
Okay. Because I think she's trying to figure out if there's, swag giveaway items she wants to bring and things like
Yeah,
that. I don't know
that's
what's
fine.
appropriate, so it's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, is there anything else we want to cover here related to the CASP event? Or any other questions? Or any other actions? I mean, it's pretty much locked and loaded other than recruiting at this point, I think.
Yep, I will, I'll do some more, promotion of it as well, and get some, try to get some virtual folks.
Cool, thanks, Rich.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, next subject, I guess, would be, well, I do want to just talk a little bit about the SKIM project after this, but I don't know if there's anything, because this is coming up very quickly, Jane, RSA. I don't know, beyond, I know the OCA is sponsoring the nonprofit cyber reception. Do we have everything sorted out about what's going on that table at the reception and how that's working? Have you?
Yeah, we don't yet, but basically that table that we have will have OCA branding with the ability for the three sponsors, which is SciWare, SciDarn, and Analyst One, to bring swag or literature or a small sign, that kind of thing. So I just need to work with the three sponsors on that. And solidify that. We do have an Eventbrite. I did end up creating an Eventbrite. So just so everybody knows, this particular nonprofit reception is sponsored by a number of different organizations. OCA is one of those organizations. As a group, they decided not to do an Eventbrite for the event for some strange reason. I'm not sure why, but that was the decision the whole group made. So it was up to the individual groups to make their own Eventbrite. And so I chose to do that because I think it's good for us to track who has an interest. So we do have a page, and I encourage everyone, it's free and available, anyone that's attending RSA, to come to the event. So if you haven't seen that, I'll pop the URL in the chat box. So sign up if you're going to be there, and spread the word. You're free to, invite whomever. It is an open reception.
Hey, Jane, I've got a question about it.
Sure.
I actually did register and I signed up. So thanks for doing the Eventbrite. It looks good. My one question is on the tickets for the location. It says Moscone Center South, which is a very large hall. And so there's nothing more specific about where the reception is. Is it in the main, you walk in the main lobby?
No, so it should, I did put in the room, so that's good to know that it's not coming through. It should have, so if you go to the Eventbrite page, I see where you're talking about the location. It did not add in, it just took the location. But if you scroll here, I'm gonna send this in the chat box. If you scroll down, it does have the location, the meeting room, but I need to put it in the confirmation. You're absolutely right. So I will make a point to do that.
I don't see it on the screen when I've got my print tickets or anything. It's not at that level. Maybe it's back before I say I want to go that it tells me.
Yeah, it's on the Eventbrite actual page. So if you scroll down a little bit, it's there. About this event section. It does have, so it's in the room 153 in the upper mezzanine level.
Ooh, okay.
So I will make a point to put it in the confirmation so that it comes through when you add it to your calendar. That's a
Great.
good point. Thank you for telling me.
Yep, you're welcome.
No, that's good to know. Because I was kind of confused about this as well, because I saw that you created the Eventbrite, but I was like, why is the OCA making Eventbrite for this? And I didn't really know if I should register for it. So that clarifies. So you're saying we can use this and the nonprofit cyber, everybody, it's fine. Everyone understands that we're doing this and it's all good that we're running our own Eventbrite.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, they're doing calendar invites, they're doing different options.
Okay, I just wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah.
So okay.
I think it's a mistake for them not to have an overall link.
It
But
is a little confusing.
it's odd. It's
Does that
odd.
mean, yeah, is each organization gonna kind of try to promote it in different ways or?
That's what they're doing. Some have calendar invites that they're sending out, some have, but it is open. It's not like we have a limited amount of,
Got it.
per organization. We have
Is
about
it-
75 people already signed up.
Is
from
it like, so that's the question, right? So it says attendance requires your badge, but you don't have to actually register to attend, right? This is
Correct. This
there's-
is more to track from our end, who we're attracting.
right. No, and I think it makes sense because you want to get that invite in your calendar so that you yourself can track it. Like that's
Yeah, and the other thing is you can't promote it. So there's a whole bulletin board for RSA and all the events they have associated with it. And you can't promote something like this without a link. So it's awkward.
Yeah.
So anyway, it'll be fine. It'll all work itself out.
So beyond this, there's nothing else at RSA that we're involved in, correct?
That is correct at this time. Yeah. We
Okay.
don't have a booth. We just have this reception that OCA is co-sponsoring with a lot of other orgs.
It might be interesting. I don't know if anyone's put the time in yet. I can take a look, but it might be interesting to see if there's any talks scheduled that intersect with Oasis and OCA initiatives. Right? So if we take a look through all the different talks, if anyone's talking about because in the past there often have been.
Yeah.
So we can just take a look at that.
Yep.
Because if there are, then we can kind of add them to the social media outreach, even though we didn't specifically submit it, doesn't matter. Still promoting the work.
Yeah.
Okay, so next subject, well, before I close that topic, any other questions about RSA or the nonprofit dinner? Nope. Okay. Duncan has an item. He wants to discuss the interop project. So there's the proposal that's coming in from Pat Maroney. I see Pat has joined the call. Hi, Pat. You there? I don't know if you're on mute.
He said in the chat that he's finishing up another call.
Okay. Okay. Well, he'll be here shortly. So Pat Maroney from AT&T is working on a new project proposal for a new project under the OCA to create what we call I don't know what the formal name of it is because they don't have it.
Interoperability Village. Hey, folks, I'm here. I was actually trying to do 2 calls at the same time. I'm here. I just submitted the proposal to the PGB mailing list, so I do have my proposal submitted. Obviously, folks have not even had a chance to see it yet, but the proposal has been submitted.
So do you want to give a 30-second high-level overview for people who are not familiar, Pat, with what the project is?
And maybe
Yeah,
Peter,
thanks, Ed.
before you do that, just to talk an email for a second. I don't actually see the email. It might not went out because you might not have permission to send to the list. So Jane, you might need to, or Kelly, you guys might need to find it.
Oh, you're right. It returned it to me.
But we can deal with that separate. Go ahead and give us the verbal spiel.
Yes, I will. So the proposal is to create a
I mean, we can, I don't think we need to walk through the whole proposal here now. Just like describe the high level like you were doing.
Yeah. Okay,
You know,
so the high level is to really put this under OASIS, so it's a neutral, open third party source. Having a neutral place to build this thing, OASIS and OCA is absolutely, in my view, if I had to pick the best place out of all the options, it really is the only option, I think, to try to do something like this, to bring it together and to get it, to get all the pieces working. It's already fostering the sharing of interoperable tools based on the OASIS standards and other ITU and international standards. So we're already in that space of trying to create these different elements of the cyber battle space, and our tooling and intelligence collection and operationalization. So we're already in that space. And what this facilitates is a place for us to build this thing, get the tools deployed, get them configured, and get them configured to interoperate with the pieces that we have. And then over time, as we build this thing, we have more and more pieces, and as we have more and more dynamics and activity and exposure, at some point, not my guess, 6, 7, 8, 9 months down the road, we're going to start being able to bring in some of the big players to participate. IBM's already, I think, going to be an easy one, given their commitment to OCA and participation. So they're going to be an easy one to bring in. At some point, I hope to bring in CrowdStrike, Google Mandiant. I'm having some challenges. So as Duncan says, I'm going to leverage AT&T's ability as a customer with these large suppliers, since we have a majority of the major players in this space. I'm going to try to leverage, AT&T to convince our vendors to do a better job of adopting sticks, for example. That's an excellent example to me. A lot of our vendors are supporting Stick 2.1 finally, but some of them are just taking their old indicator lists and put them in Stick 2.1 format versus, creating knowledge graphs with relational nested knowledge engineering, knowledge management. So those are the key concepts. It's going to be built on volunteers. I'm going to Tom Sawyer folks into painting Aunt Polly's fence or whitewashing her fence. So it's going to be some arm twisting and cajoling, but I think we've already got folks that are doing this. And I think if we could create this neutral space for them to get their tools deployed and frameworks deployed, it actually it helps them as well advance what they're trying to do. Like, for example, I'll use Kestrel as an example. We had Kestrel plugged into 3 or 4 different elements out there, and we were exercising it, and we found something that it was doing well or could do better or not working at all. It gives us the opportunity to work with them to give them an actual place where we can, I'm sorry, I'm not really ready for the quick 10-minute brief here, folks, but let me stop. I think I've given the broad strokes. Let me open it up to questions.
So my main question, as you know, Pat, I've known the project for a while. But one of the things that I'm trying to untease in my own brain now that the proposal has been submitted is, should this actually be a standalone separate project, or should it be part of the CASP project?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll admit I've flip-flopped on that. I started out arguing it should be part of CASP because it sort of is sort of the physical implementation of the paper version of CASP. The problem is once we started getting into it and some of the issues Pat's been running into, it really is, there's a lot of overlap, but there's parts that aren't overlap. There's parts of CASP that aren't going to go in this, and then there's parts of this that really are not CASP, particularly associated with, I'll call it the administrivia, the actual repos. We're going to put all the data and put the tests in and put the stuff in. So that made me switch back to be its own. I can go either way. If you want to make it part of CASP, can. I think it's going to need its own repos and everything else, which sort of means it probably should have its own.
Yeah, so
Let
let me just amplify. So I've actually built the equivalent of what I'm proposing here in 2 prior lives. Once at Blackback Labs and another time at Darklight. So I've actually built what I'm talking about, and so it's going to be a lot of content, especially in the beginning. It's going to be hundreds of CloudFormation templates, Terraform files, YAML files, configuration, Docker containers. It's just going to be a bunch of stuff, and there's going to be a lot of churn as we get the different pieces deployed and the integrations. Get, for example, to get simulations up, like either breach simulation using Caldera, MITRE Caldera, or whatever. There's going to be a lot of content. And I know, Duncan, you got better things in your life to be a pull request, as do I. But I think just in that regard on it, so it's absolutely going to need its own repo.
The part that I'm trying to sort through, right, is the administrivia side. So if it's its own group with its own charter, it'll have its own series of meetings separate from CASP. And, when the CASP plug fest, when the village is over, I would think that most of the conversation is going to pivot to this topic, the subject area, right? And I don't know. I can go both directions. I'm just trying to figure out what's the least amount of work for everyone involved, for the effort, without creating, overhead. Do we create needless overhead? That's the only question to me.
I definitely see those two things being very tightly interlaced, the CASP sub-project as well as the interoperability village. But it also, I think, can serve other things. But I'm very concerned about that because right now I'm the only one that's signed up to drive and manage and try to make this thing happen. So right now I'm single threaded on this thing. We have submitted proposals for an Alan Paller grant. We did that with Oasis. Some of you folks have been involved in that process. So we did just do a submission to get 1 year of funding, which includes roughly $60,000 for cloud infrastructure and roughly $60,000 for a resource that would be badged as a consultant under Oasis. So, I don't know what our chances are for getting. I think it's a really good case to make, society as a societal thing that, hey, we got all this stuff out there. Let's figure out how to get it work together. Because we're really getting to the point in all these standards, the maturity level and all these standards, that we've got really the kind of core pieces here. Now we got to put them together and start finding out what works, what doesn't work, what doesn't scale. We're reaching a real impetus, a real point. I think we're at a key point in bringing together this automated cyber ecosystem with playbooks and Cacao and OpenCT2 and Sticks and I think all these things are actually coming together. So it's going to be a lot of work. Absolutely. We're going to rely a lot on volunteers. But for example, we work very closely with the entire IBM crew. We work with a bunch of their really sharp people there. And so I think it actually gives us an opportunity. It provides a neutral place for us to do this. Right now, to try to do something with them within AT&T would take me 24 months in order to get all the openings, approvals, et cetera. Whereas if we had some neutral place, we could do this thing. So to your point, Jason, I'm stepping up to try to make this thing happen. I'm really decided to take this one on because I really. as you may remember back from the being the interoperability co-chair on the CTITC, we were trying to get some basic, testing interoperability stuff going, and that was 12 years ago, right? So I
Yeah.
think if we could build it, they will come. I hate to use that sort of motif, that kind of strategy, but I think if we build it, they will come. But to your point, is it a standalone project? I was going along originally doing this under CAS because that was a lot less work for me. But I think as I started pushing on Duncan, and I think Duncan started realizing, wait a second, do I really have time for this? And I would argue he does not have time for this. To be
I
dealing
mean, if we
with.
did do it under CASP, it'd be a sub project, so to speak, and then we'd end up with
That's fine.
projects or whatever. So just seems
That's kind of
quicker to make it its
semantics to
own, but
me.
we could go either way. Jason.
So
Yeah.
I haven't seen the email yet, but who is the sponsor for the project? Is it yourself, Duncan?
Yeah, because Patrick can't, because they didn't fork over the money to be a sponsor, so I
Well, no, that's Oasis cleared up that sponsor in the context of an OCA project doesn't mean a sponsor of OCA in terms of writing checks to OCA. Okay, so I got that cleared up. And here's the deal, folks. The impetus on me to create a proposal and get it to you folks by your meeting today occurred yesterday afternoon. Okay, so far I've got AT&T and I've got Duncan signed on as sponsors. Okay,
No,
I've reached out to IBM, Google. I've reached out to a whole bunch of folks, but I guarantee you that no one's going to come back and sign up to be a sponsor, for something just like that.
No, yeah, and I haven't seen it yet, Pat. But the rule there's an OCA standing rule in our governance that in order for it's part of the process of standing up a project that it has to have a PGB member sponsoring it because it's just
Okay.
part of the process.
Fair enough.
Because they're the ones who are signing up. Whoever the sponsor is essentially the one that's committing that this is, we're gonna make best effort for this not to become mothballed, and it's going to have legs, and they're the ones putting it forward. So that's always been a rule. It's also
Just a real quick,
Go ahead.
was the direction to resubmit it? Have I been added and I can resubmit this now?
why don't you send it to Kelly? Because you
Yeah,
can't actually be on the list unless you pay the money. So send it to Kelly and she'll forward it on.
yeah, please do. If you're trying to send it to, was it like OCA, PGB, at list.oasis, something like that?
I'm following the directions on the form.
Yeah,
There you go,
please.
Kelly. Thank you. No, done.
Okay,
Done.
I will be on the lookout for it and we'll get it redirected to the PGB, no problem.
So, I mean, I do have support. I've been, some of you may know, I've been working on this since December. Trying to get this going. So I do have a commitment from my leadership. They do support the objectives of what I'm doing here. So in terms of us being a sponsor, I have not convinced them AT&T to write a check to OCA, but they have agreed to so far, to putting my time and effort into this. But regardless of that, I am going to continue to strongly advocate for this, and I'm going to continue to volunteer to try to make it happen because I'm really trying to get this one done. I think I really strongly believe that creating something like this for our community, not just an Oasis, but we've got enough to start with within the Oasis community. Before just pardon my tongue-in-cheek comment, Duncan, before I invite the Russians.
Yeah,
Jason, from your viewpoint, from a follow the OCA rules viewpoint, yes, I will sponsor it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Pat. I think I fully support the effort itself. I'm just trying to, make sure we get the logistics right.
No, I agree. That's and this is why. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm sorry my entry into the meeting was somewhat chaotic. I was actually literally trying to do two things at the same time. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present it. I'm sorry for the last minute submission to you. The proposal is there. And in some cases, it mimics the original proposal that I circulated, and also in some cases mimics what we submitted to the Alan Paller laureate program. But I think it's pretty clear. I think it's a good outline of the objective.
All right. So I think, the main action is for everyone, all the PGB members to review the proposal and get back with any questions as soon as possible so we can try to get action and, voted upon hopefully by May.
Yeah, in the meantime, we're still, so I don't know, is Carol on the call? I don't think Carol's on the call. So, I've reached out to Jay White at Microsoft to be an actual sponsor of the infrastructure. Oasis also reached out and filed an application as well, with hopes that maybe if it came from Oasis, it might get a better look. Jay White's been bird-dogging it to some extent. I've reached out, so I've leveraged some old contacts at AWS. So, that is the key to getting this thing going, is having somebody give us 60, 100K of cloud infrastructure for a year. That is going to be, without that, the thing goes nowhere. If there's no place to start building this thing, then there's the GitHub repos, all the rest of this really, are moot. We really do need that. And I think after the first year, we'll be able to get funding.
We can get started. I think we can get started before it, but you're right. You need it to actually operationalize anything. We can start to plan ahead.
The first thing is like, what? Okay, is it going to be Terraform and Azure? Is it going to be CloudFormation? And I got some folks on our side for our internal team. We're using Docker Swarm and Ansible. So actually, a lot of the core pieces that I want to build, OpenCTI, Elastic Stack, MISP, a lot of the pieces that I want to bring to the village, it's just a matter of translating what we're doing internally to a external cloud framework. So I can get going pretty quickly and getting some successes and some stuff there pretty quickly. But in any case,
but again,
yes, thank you.
I agree with Jason. I think, it's a chicken and egg issue. It'd be nice to have a fully baked, turkey dinner of Thanksgiving on day one. It's probably not realistic to assume that. So I think we could get started with a lot less. I sent you a separate email, Patrick. There's at least one vendor I think we can talk into doing that wouldn't put their stuff in that big cloud anyway. You'd have to hook to it separate. There's probably going to be a lot of situations like that we're going to have so we can start putting together little stuff. We are doing what we're doing next week without having done all this. Okay.
Yep.
We're doing it on everybody contributes their own little tiny piece, and it's only for the day as opposed to for the year. So it's obviously not as good. It's not as permanent. We have to redo it every time we redo the village. So it's a pain in the butt, but it gets us started. So I do think we can get started short of, the big wigs coming in with the big bucks. I think if we can get it going a little bit, that will then draw the big players in. But again, from this meeting's viewpoint, the decision is just, should the OCA accept it or not? It's sort of for this meeting too soon, because one, we don't have a quorum, and two, we literally just got the email a minute ago. So I think we'll have to give it a few more days.
Yeah, I think the action is, the action is to review the proposal. We should remind the members to review the proposal, who might not catch the recording. We do have one more meeting before RSA. It's the week just before RSA, so we don't have a conflict, which is great. Maybe we can action this in that meeting if timing works out properly and we can gather quorum. Maybe
or do an email ballot, because I don't know if we'll have quorum at the meeting. Either way you want to do it, but it'll probably take a little while.
Yeah.
But with that, we probably
and I'm supportive of whatever the decision in that regard is not, does not impact what I want to do. The only thing it does impact, just so you understand, the process I have to go through internally to get official approval through the IP lawyers and everything to contribute to an open source repository is 3 months the first time around. So the sooner we can define the actual GitHub repository so I can do my submission, I have a 3-month lag at least from that point. So I can actually go in as the GitHub repo administrator. So
Okay.
So let Patrick drop at this point and go on to the next topic.
thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Well, that's really it, though. I don't have anything else.
Well, did you want me to do the skim stuff or not?
Oh, good point. The skim stuff. I forgot all about that. So yeah, did you want to just inform the other folks about what skim is and what this TC proposal is that we're trying to get started, just to see if there's any interest?
Sure, let me cheat because I actually have a slide deck, I think. Let me do this. Let me see if it'll let me share. This big. Are you guys hopefully seeing a supply chain information model page?
Yes.
Good. Proposing a new TC. So again, separate from OCA, but the type of thing that will play nice with OCA, called the supply chain information model, TC. Sort of two ways to parse the sentence: information model and supply chain. The point is there's a lot going on. I did not know it had all this fancy making the stuff move. Let me go to a different one. Oh, it's that one. Go to another one. There we go. Forget this stuff because you guys all know all this, but it's sort of the root problem with a lot of cybersecurity today is all said and done software quality issues, and that's where SBOMs and VEXs and all that stuff come in. There's a bunch of disjoint activities going on in those areas, and they're all at the data layer. They're all at the, here's the format, here's the bits to send, here's all the details. The purpose of this TC is to bring it up a notch and look at it at the information model level. So your classic pyramid of, data, information, knowledge, wisdom, where there are some people doing work at ontology up at the knowledge level. I maintain you can't do that until you've done the information level first. There's a lot of people doing work at the data layer, and it's conflicting. I think the main purpose of this TC will be to harmonize across those different types of doing things. So who cares whether it's Cyclone DX or SPDX? They're both SBOMs. I can say that sentence. I can't actually do that data-wise or mathematically unless I have an information model for what an SBOM is, and then I can say yes, that information is in the SBOM in a Cyclone DX format. Yes, that information is in the data format called SPDX. And so sort of putting them together and looking at what's the same, what's different, et cetera, is sort of the main purpose of doing this. And across the whole supply chain, not just SBOMs, but VEXs and the various, whether it's in firmware or whether it's in, even more so in hardware, like with PLCs and stuff. So that's sort of, and this is from talking to some other people about it, well, let me go back to that one for a second. If you actually look at the evolution of a hacks over the last time period, particularly the last, I'll call them 3 biggies that are in the supply chain space, which is Log4j, which is a simple, hey, there's an old bug in something that's in most people's stuff that I took advantage of. Then you look at SolarWinds, which is, hey, I took over their build system so that I could actually get the stuff loaded that I want. And then of course, last weekend's is I think the biggest headline event in the long term is going to be the XC, because that was a conscious effort by someone to take over the open source supply chain. And so I think we need ways to prevent that. We need provenance, we need pedigree, we need SBOMs, we need all this stuff. And I think you need to do it at the information model level. There's a lot of other, there's explaining, information models versus data models. There's a lot of the actual gory input that'll go into here. Yes, we do have the situation of, we got a bunch of standards and I'm proposing another one. However, it does not actually meet this this comic, okay? Because it's not a competing standard. It's in a different domain. It's an information model. It's not yet another data level model. So it's not, you know, we already have 2 VEX formats and now OpenVEX has come along and we have 3. This is not proposing a 4th one. This is an information model. So you can look at all 3 of the existing ones and look at their commonalities and their differences. And that's probably my just, you know, a particular example of, hey, here's a bunch of fields in 3 different VEX formats. The purpose isn't to add a 4th column. The purpose is to add something on top of this that says, hey, what's the raw information content in all these things? Can we get agreement on them? And what does it really mean to be a VEX? And there's a bunch of people involved in it. And with that, I will figure out how to stop sharing and ask if there's any questions.
I don't know if it's appropriate for this meeting, but I'm definitely interested in kind of learning more about the different 3 standards and the support, the rationale for them, and how they're being adopted. But that's a whole deeper dive discussion, not suitable for here. But
I'd be happy to spend time. That's one of my passions since I've been retired. Software supply chain's been my main hobby, I'll say. So I'd be happy to babble at length on it.
great.
With at least caveated with they will be my opinions. I will have some opinionated views of, like, I wish there weren't as many standards as we have.
I would expect nothing less, Duncan. Thank you.
So, and with that, Jason, back to you.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I don't have any questions just because I'm familiar with it already. But
Probably more familiar than you'd prefer to be, right?
yeah, perhaps. I mean, my main question, which I know you addressed partially already, is like, how do we make sure we get sufficient stakeholders involved from these other groups so that it becomes a useful effort? So, I mean, and I don't know if Duncan specifically said this, but so this isn't an OCA project. So this is being proposed as a TC technical committee. So to participate, you have to be an OASIS member. So that's, just want to make sure people were aware of that.
And again, it's a little bit like Patrick's Build It, and I think they will come. I do think it'll be a little bit useful, but also the fact that DHS, DoD, AT&T, there's Microsoft, Cisco, there's some pretty big names saying they want it. I think that'll get everybody else on board, Tim.
All right. I don't have anything else for the agenda today. My main focus has been, CASP and RSA, at least with my OCA hat on. So I don't have anything else. Unless Rich, I don't know if you have anything you wanted to bring up or discuss specifically.
No, not specifically. I've got kind of some updated graphics shot back.
Oh yeah, do we want to look? So that's a good point. We've got like 5 minutes here.
I
Did you
can
want
share.
to share that? Oh, so Duncan can see it?
Yeah, sure.
We can have it in the recording.
So this is getting one of our graphics specialists to help give a go to an updated banner for Jane in marketing for just any kind of events, the pull out long, tall banner. And the idea behind it is kind of attract attention in terms of, is there stuff here you're interested in talking about? The goal is not to try to cram a diagram and arrows and every possible interoperability thing on the banner. It's kind of like, is there interesting stuff here? Who's here? Do I dare want to stop and talk, or will I walk by and avert my eyes while I'm at the event or whatever? So let me do a quick share. Not so quick. So we've got 2 parts. So this is the kind of prototype for the banner. The idea was to have it for a combination for Oasis and OCA. The idea is to kind of highlight the logos of both. Both of these things are here if you want to stop by and talk. Feature kind of the taglines, which I think, again, represent what are these orgs about as you're going by. The first one featuring the logos of some of the standards that are, security relevant from Oasis's perspective. And we have so much stuff going on in OCA. The idea was to kind of just, again, focus on the tagline, making standards-based interoperability a reality, and then just kind of go through the specific project. If you're interested in threat hunting, indicators or behavior, you've heard of PACE or whatever, this is, again, just all the things we have going on. So I think the goal is to be kind of a clean design, kind of readable, not put too much stuff in here. And the bottom is a first cut attempt for the community, lots of hand holding. It was originally, Jane had a little village on there, which can be a workshop, and we know all those things. I won't go into that. So yeah, just any thoughts on that are great. I think, we could do something else at the bottom if you don't like the first crack at the community folks, but that's one part of it.
The part at the bottom, I don't know. It's kind of like, it reminds me of paper dolls.
Yeah.
Could you
I'm a
slide it
little-
up a little? Mine is whatever covered by my Zoom bar across the bottom.
Okay, I will kind of move it up a little
There
bit.
you go. Oh, I
You know
see.
what
I agree with Jason. It does look like paper dolls, but it's a bunch of people.
Do you like the village idea better? The buildings, town, whatever, community. It was supposed to be something representing community. It was just a first shot, so we can look for alternatives. And the second piece, let me go back and second piece is, let's see, is kind of taking this was around, I think, Jason's and maybe Mark's suggestion, talk about our projects and kind of where they fit into the NIST framework for cybersecurity. So this would be more a place, this would
I
be
like
like a power.
This is a good slide.
I
This
like
is-
the slide.
This would be a PowerPoint slide. If you're, could be on the back of a booth, could be on the big display when you come to the booth. And the intent is to be able to have kind of a flexible conversation of where these different things fit in context with each other. And it allows you to, again, reference the projects and, go in different directions depending on who the speaker is. And we'd want to have, for whoever's staffing a booth, put together some speakers' notes about, here's some basics on each of these. But good, I'm glad you like that, Jason.
Yeah, I like it too. I really like the second one. The first one's good too. It certainly beats the one they made last year or the year before out of my slide. That was really a totally different animated slide.
Right.
They tried to turn into it was a horizontal animated slide. They tried to turn into a static vertical poster, and yeah, so I like, and again, they did a great job with what they had, but I really like these two better.
Good. Good. Okay. Well, I'll see if we can come up with some other ideas for the bottom of the other one. Jane, I don't know if do you still like the kind of a village representation for a community versus definitely, I think we're not crazy about the paper dolls, but people are part of it. I guess if it was a different representation of people and bodies, or I mean, you want something symbolic, not something too distinct. Any comments on those?
Yeah, I mean, I do think just to, one of what you're trying to do is get that representation of the community, which is what we talked about. So
Yep.
Definitely if there's some sort of image that can fill that would be great. If you need to turn it into text, you could say join our community or something. Could be an actionable type thing. And I did want to ask on that first, the roll-up poster,
Yes.
was there a deliberate reason why we selected the 3 sticks, cacao, and I forgot the other one, as opposed to the others, or was it just a declutter? Just asking that quick question.
I think, well, I think there was, but it's been so long ago, I don't remember what it was.
Okay,
I thought it was more security relevant kind of things. What other OASIS standards that are not OCA were you thinking of?
well, like OpenC2, Duncan's gonna have his new skim one. I don't know if that's gonna be ready for prime time yet, just because we don't have a logo or anything. But there are a couple, I think others that we could add in there if we wanted to. But again, I don't want it to be super cluttered. The other comment I do have is I do feel like the text is kind of big. And I know we want people to read it, of course, but it's like really big. So maybe,
Well, in terms of reading it across the room and stuff, yeah. So
yeah, that's true. It
I
is
mean,
true.
this
Yeah,
is
I think the text is all great. I think I think you got a good point, Jane. And okay, what are the 3 logos we want here? We probably don't want too many things. And we can debate what goes there, whatever. And it
Right.
might be, you know what, Jane, like it might be tune it to the event, right? Like,
True.
for RSA, we're gonna pick the 3 biggest things. And whereas if you're going to like a certain ISAC event, you might tune it to what's resonant there. You can just swap those out.
Yeah,
True.
I come from a less is more background. I spent 10 years at Apple where, for a launch of a new product, there would be 1 word or 2 words on the screen. And they would talk about based on that very clear message and then go into the details.
Yeah.
And then I find myself at IBM where people are almost trying to it looks like replace CAD diagrams in a single PowerPoint slide, but it's actually text in a business plan with stuff. So I've been on both extremes. So I tend to go for, I mean, if again, in my mind, this is about attracting attention. Here's what we're about. It's not about, putting a paragraph of text to explain, what cacao is and what Sticks Taxi is and all that. But yeah, you could tweak with it too. I mean, if you like it the way it is, but you want more blank space, we could
I
get
don't know
it.
if it was more blank space. It's just the words just scream at me versus any kind of color, which is what I guess you want. You want the words to scream at you.
I kind of do. I kind of like for that personally,
It
right?
looks good though. It does look good. It's clean. So I think the question is, do we have everything under, like Oasis? Do we have all the logos for the standards that we want to include?
Yeah,
And if not,
yeah.
which ones do we want to swap out, or if we want to add something?
I don't
And
have
then,
an opinion on that one. So
yeah,
anyone else any issue with putting OpenC2? Does Skim have a logo? Is it of a stature in terms of its maturity and stuff to be included here?
I think we lost Duncan. So
I can answer some of that just since Duncan dropped. So this TC hasn't even started yet. And they're
Yeah.
not gonna have their first meeting until probably after Memorial Day, so end of May, first week of June. So no logo yet, all very premature. We don't even have the charter finalized.
Okay, so maybe premature for Skim.
yeah.
Okay. We could easily add a 4th if you want to put OpenC2 there. Jason, what do you think?
I'm indifferent. Like, I mean, I think probably I don't know about OpenC2, to be honest. I think that the ones that we should put up there are whatever the current hottest topics are that people will recognize. For RSA, I think that it should be what are the 3 things that people are most likely to recognize, and it's probably it's definitely CSAF, Sticks Taxi. I don't know. I don't know, for the third cacao, maybe. It's too bad we don't have. If we had that S-bomb skim one, that might be another one, but because it's such a hot topic. But that's my thinking. And like I said, I think in my opinion, you'd probably want, because I think Jane, you said before, these roll-ups aren't expensive. So like, we might have a couple of different versions of it, right? Where you just, if you're going to a certain type of event, maybe you have a different logos there, and maybe you shuffle some of the projects down underneath to align with what that group cares about. That's what would make sense to me. I assume so. Are these like the source files for this, or like Illustrator or something that are easy to change?
No, this is just literally a PDF right now. So I don't know what Kristen did it in originally, or I mean, before we were just monkeying with it on PowerPoint a bit. So I'm not sure do you know, Jan, what the original source file was?
I think she's using Illustrator I think she's probably using Illustrator, but we can, we can work with that. I mean, I can find a
Great.
a Fiverr person periodically to make changes that are minor, no big deal.
Okay.
So
Let
how
me-
about this, Rich, as a next step? How about I send you, I'll just double check, make sure, about the standard logos. I'll send a list of any that are missing and we can determine whether they should be added in for RSA.
Yeah, and I think the more you add, the more cluttered it gets, the less it shows up. So
Right.
OpenC2, not a big deal. I would say if we're talking about adding 7, no, probably not.
No, I don't, I mean, there are probably 6 that are missing, but some of them are not as active, and so it's not as, like TAC, for instance, they're active.
You might want to use the Kestrel logo. You might want to have CSAF Sticks Taxi Kestrel, because it has a nice logo.
That Kestrel's down in the OCA section, JK.
Well, I don't know, but isn't that just to catch? Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, these are the ones up top are intentionally
Right,
things
right,
that are
right.
not OCA.
No, you're right. I get confused for a second.
And Rich, remind me, I have a better cacao logo that doesn't have that dark background. It looks kind of odd. I have a better one to give
Yeah,
you.
if you have an inverse one,
I
yes,
do, yeah, it's a better one to
yeah,
use.
send them along sooner the better.
Okay.
So we'll just plan on updated cacao logo and OpenC2 and make that change and try to get the source files. Okay.
Yep.
All right, I gotta drop, folks.
All right, thank you, everyone.
You bet.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
All
Bye.
right, bye-bye.